In July 1992, Oprah Winfrey conducted one of the most controversial social experiments ever aired on television. More than 30 years later, that experiment remains relevant, a stark reminder of how easily division can be created and how deeply ingrained biases can surface under pressure. The setup was simple yet powerful. Oprah's audience was split into two groups based on eye color. Those with brown eyes were given preferential treatment. They skipped the lines, received refreshments, and were welcomed with smiles. Meanwhile, those with blue eyes were forced to wear green collars and were made to wait in a crowded space for 2 hours. They were ignored, mistreated, and spoken down to. The staff followed strict instructions: be polite to the brown-eyed individuals and dismissive toward the blue-eyed ones. Guiding the experiment was Elliott, an educator and diversity trainer known for her infamous 1968 Blue Eyes/Brown Eyes exercise, originally designed to expose the roots of racial discrimination. She played along, reinforcing the idea that brown-eyed individuals were simply superior. They are smarter, more capable, she told the audience. The blue-eyed individuals, meanwhile, were subjected to ridicule and exclusion. What happened next was both shocking and telling. The audience, ordinary people who had arrived at the studio as equals, turned against each other almost immediately. A brown-eyed woman spoke out, recalling how her blue-eyed friend in school always copied off her papers. She was so stupid, the woman declared. Others joined in, complaining about the behavior of the blue-eyed group that day, calling them noisy, rude, and disruptive. The divide deepened within minutes, as frustration and resentment took hold. From the stage, Elliott continued her role as a so-called brown-eyed supremacist. When someone pointed out that she herself had blue eyes, she dismissed the observation. "I've learned to act brown-eyed," she stated. "I have a brown-eyed husband and 3 brown-eyed children. If you act brown-eyed, you too can take off your collar." The message was clear: adapt, conform, or remain at a disadvantage. Eventually, the audience began to catch on. This wasn't just about eye color. Elliott revealed the true intention of the exercise, a mirror to the realities of racial discrimination in America. The privilege given to one group and the oppression of another was an everyday reality, only usually based on skin color rather than eye color. But even then, resistance remained. A man in the audience pushed back against Elliott's message, arguing that racial differences were natural and created by God. "You can't help it," he insisted. Elliott's response was sharp and undeniable. God created one race, the human race. Humans created racism. The segment was met with both praise and backlash. Some hailed Oprah and Elliott for exposing uncomfortable truths, while others felt the experiment was cruel and manipulative. Critics argued that forcing people into a situation of manufactured discrimination, even for a short time, was unethical. Supporters countered that the raw, unfiltered reactions only proved how quickly prejudice could be internalized. Decades later, this 1992 experiment still sparks debate. It serves as a reminder of how discrimination functions, not just in history, but in everyday interactions. It shows how privilege can go unnoticed by those who benefit from it, and how oppression can quickly escalate when reinforced by authority. And it challenges viewers to reflect. If something as trivial as eye color could create such division in mere minutes, what does that say about racial bias in our world today? Oprah's experiment may have been controversial, but it forced an undeniable truth into the spotlight, one that remains just as critical today as it was then.